Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this webinar of the AfroSAFE Academy with Meleckidzedeck Khayesi from the World Health Organization. My name is Alexey Laureshin. I'm one of the people behind the AfroSAFE Academy, and I will spend now a couple of minutes just presenting what AfroSAFE Academy is about. So it is a network of researchers, practitioners, academics dealing with traffic safety and with particular connection to the African continent. So as you see, AfroSAFE Academy is affiliated with the ICTCT. ICTCT is an international association of traffic safety researchers. It has been around for 40 years at least, quite a long history of that organization. So AfroSAFE Academy is affiliated in a form of a subcommittee, and it has a very clear focus, what kind of questions, what kind of region this subcommittee is working with. I would really encourage you to visit the webpage of the AfroSAFE Academy because we do have quite interesting program in the pipeline. And also we do have ambition to really increase what type of activities, what type of information is available there. So right now we have webinars and we organize a conference, but also the idea is to develop a curriculum for a university course in traffic safety. So all that you will find at the webpage. I would encourage you to sign up to the updates, follow us on the social media, receive our newsletters, because more things are in the pipeline. What else? Yeah, as I told you, we do have some events already scheduled, so we try to have a webinar at least once per month. And you see March, April, we do already have speakers. Everything is arranged and registration is open. But also I want to take a chance and advertise the upcoming AfroSAFE conference, which will take place in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. And the submission is still open. You see, it says deadline 16th of February, which is today, but we have just extended the deadline for another 2 weeks. So the new deadline is 1st of March. We have received already quite some interesting submissions. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be a very useful, very interesting conference. Yes, and here is the address to the AfroSAFE Academy, how you can find us on the web. And also if you have some questions, if you want to get in contact with us, here is the contact email. And now I will give the floor to Enoch Sam, who is another important person in the AfroSAFE Academy. Enoch is from the University of Winneba in Ghana, and he will be the, what do you call it, the chairman of this meeting. He will be in charge, so to say. So Enoch, please, floor is yours, and please introduce the speaker and lead the meeting.
All right, thank you very much, Alexei, and welcome to all of us. This is, like has been mentioned, one of our usual activities on the AfroSAFE Academy. We are having a webinar and to be presented by Dr. Meleckidzedeck Khayesi. He is with the World Health Organization. Dr. Khayesi holds a PhD degree in transport geography. He is currently based at the World Health Organization headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. He facilitates the development, implementation, and evaluation of road safety programs prepares policy guidelines, and supports road safety capacity development. He loves transformative pedagogy and local-led intervention development change. Dr. Khayesi is with us, and he will have the floor very soon. But before he does, there will be opportunity for us to interact with him, especially the subject matter on board this morning. And to be able to do that and for orderly manner, we will expect that you write your name in the comments, in the chat box. I will call you based on the list, the names, how it's been presented, and then you'll be given the floor to verbally ask your question. So I'll go strictly by the chat, right? No need to post any questions there. You can just put your names and we'll call you to have the floor. And I also started by asking that we share who we are and where we are coming from. At least it also helps to collaborate beyond this forum. So without much ado, I welcome on floor Dr. Khayesi. Dr. Khayesi, over to you, please. And he is doing a presentation on the Paulo Freire's an implication for transformative road safety policy in Africa. The floor is yours, please.
Thanks a lot, AfroSAFE Academy and Enoch and your team for giving me an opportunity to converse on a very important topic. Along with me, I'll have my colleague, Dr. Eugenia Rodriguez, who will also come in as we go along. She's woken up. I think it's quite very early for her in Brazil, but she's willing to share some of her experiences on Paulo Freire. So when we reach there, she'll introduce herself briefly. As the title shows, we are looking at, yes, so our reflection, our conversation today is on Paulo Freire's Praxis, quite a very crucial concept in his pedagogy, and apply this to how it can help us attain transformative road safety planning in Africa. I'm emphasizing transformative so that we focus on moving it to a much higher level that delivers results, which is in line with what AfroSAFE Academy is doing to enhance the capability, but also the delivery of road safety solutions in Africa. We shall, basically this is the outline, go through this, the objective, my experience, and who is Paulo Freire, and then we shall have questions and answers. So we shall go through this in a quite a systematic manner. So as I pointed out, really, our objective is to examine how we can apply Paulo Freire's Praxis to road safety policy and planning. I'm emphasizing both policy here and the planning, meaning the implementation, but the policy would be the various priorities that are officially stated or endorsed. So my first encounter with Paulo Freire was not with the individual himself, but it came through Professor Gerard Benas in 1985, 1986, when I was an undergraduate student in philosophy of education. And he was teaching us about various schools of philosophy. And one of the contributors he brought out was Paulo Freire, especially this area of pedagogy, thinking about the critical reality and how people can actually move from just being abstract to addressing the reality and transforming the reality they face. Since then, I've followed closely Paulo Freire's philosophy and ideas which were nurtured in education. And I've also learned that they have gone beyond education. In the health sector, people apply them. In community development, they are applied, as well as in politics. So his ideas really can be applied to many areas. And that's why I thought for conversation today, we can see how we can apply this to a transformative approach to road safety policy in Africa. I've had a rare chance and opportunity really to visit Brazil, and I've conversed with so many people about this model, including Eugenia, Victor, if he's on the call. And so anytime I went to Brazil between 2012 and 2014, would converse. And up to now, I continue reflecting substantially on Paulo Freire. And along the way, I've actually adopted his approach to life. And I use it a lot in my work, both official work and as well as in my own personal. And even when I'm dealing in the policy work, I try to adopt a lot of his reasoning so that I can contribute to a transformative approach to road safety. Who was Paulo Freire, or who is Paulo Freire? I'll briefly mention that we know him as a Brazilian, but that will limit if he's just stuck there. He's actually a great thinker who has worked in education and then in community. He was born in 1921 and then he died in 1997. Among the key areas he worked on was education, but then he worked even with the communities to try and help them to reflect critically on the reality they face and then transform it. And it was partly during this process that I think the Brazilian government became uncomfortable with him. And Eugene, if I'm correct, they organized for his exile and he ended up in Geneva at the World Council of Churches for several years, and then he went back. So we are looking at a great thinker and a great practitioner who has offered us a way of thinking about an issue and how we can address it. In his thinking on his model, he uses the word praxis substantially, and is dealing with the issue, the challenge we have that we can be very abstract, we can be very theoretical, but then we don't apply that to the reality. So essentially, basically praxis means combining analysis, which I like to look at here as the reflection, and then action. So you reflect on a situation, you analyze a situation, any social reality, any condition you are facing or you are dealing with, and then take action. Then you don't stop there. Continue reflecting on the action you are taking and improving it. Now, it may look as the normal conventional approach to program development, but it's much deeper, as I'll show as we converse, because what he points out is that there is a continuous process, and the method that he proposes is much deeper than the conventional participatory approach. So what I'm pointing out that beyond the method or the methodology, the pedagogy, there is great thought and approach to this. And in his own work and in his own writing, he argues, and I'm reading it just from the book here, he argues that thought and study alone did not produce pedagogy of the oppressed. It is rooted in concrete situations and describes the reactions of laborers. These are peasant or urban, of middle-class persons whom I have observed directly or indirectly during the course of my educational or educative work. So in short, this is coming from real experiences that inform this reflection. So it's not really theoretical only. It's quite deep when you look at what he's proposing. So essentially, you are combining analysis or reflection and action. You are not just focusing on the acquisition or transmission of knowledge, but you are looking at the ability to process that knowledge and create a solution and even create new knowledge out of it. Now, how does this work in reality? So the beginning point is really awareness. And he points out that it's important for us to be critically aware. Critical consciousness is very important here. And I need to point out that there's the awareness about yourself as an individual, but he emphasizes critical awareness of the social reality you are dealing with, not at the superficial surface, but going deep to understand the underlying causes, the structures that sustain that situation, and then thinking through about how you can change them and the solutions that you can deploy. And that's why you combine critical consciousness with reflection and taking action. So it's really an iterative process. It's a circle that you have to go through. So he's pointing out that for you to achieve this, you need to adopt a dialogue. And this is why I need to explain deeply here. The dialogue here means, for example, you bring people together, you bring a community together. You are working on road safety in a community or in a state, in a province or in a country. So the dialogue here is not a question of bringing an expert to explain the solution or to develop a road safety strategy, but the dialogue he's talking about is respect. He talks about equality among the partners, commitment, and then meaningful and fruitful exchange of opinion and ideas. So the knowledge we have should be put forth. And he argues that when people share and dialogue, they're able actually to create new knowledge. So he's opposed to the transmission. He calls it the banking concept, where you have top down, and there is only one individual or a few people who transmit that knowledge and are telling everybody what to do. He's saying that's not any way helpful. He emphasizes that we should engage in dialogue as opposed to monologue. And we should do this on the basis of equality. We should treat each other fairly, and we should approach this with love, compassion, and care. And so when you look at it, he's much deeper. And I mean, as I read this, it keeps on challenging me. To what extent are we using this model or this approach? Just think of, for Africa, for the specific countries, who develops the national road safety strategy? Is there meaningful dialogue, or is it a group of a few people who draft the strategy and maybe may copy an example from country X and country Y, but they have not engaged, they have not deployed a mechanism where there is meaningful engagement for the various people in that country or in that city to reflect deeply and come up with a solution that is appropriate. And of course, he points out that as we do this, we are actually able to appropriate and name the reality in our own words. In other words, we move away from what is imposed or given to us externally, but that will now be the road safety reality as defined by the city or the people who are living along the road or the very specific country that we are looking at. So what I'm pointing out is that his methodology may appear as if he's familiar, but is much deeper. So it's not just an assemblage of techniques or just slogans or maxims to say participation or reflection or action, there is quite a lot in terms of the transformation, the approach, the thinking, and really the capability of various individuals and various institutions in engaging in the reflection and action in order to transform the reality. So all this is targeted at transforming the social reality that any people or any community or any individual is actually exploring. And this is based on his view, very critical assumption, and I'll read it again, just you can see how much I really drawn this work. He's arguing this because he operates on one basic assumption that man's ontological vocation, meaning man and woman, man's ontological vocation, and he calls it, is to be a subject who acts upon and transforms his world, and in so doing moves towards ever new possibilities of fuller and richer life individually and collectively. And so, in other words, the world to which he relates is not a static and closed order, a given reality which man must accept and to which he must adjust. Rather, it is a problem to be worked on and solved. And if you have a copy of this wonderful book, you can read, I'm looking at page 14. So basically what he's pointing to us is that we have the world before us to transform. Apply this to road safety. We have a situation that we need to reflect on. We have a responsibility as researchers and practitioners to critically reflect on it and transform it into a new possibility, a new world. So this is basically the model, reflection, taking action within a framework of critical self-awareness or awareness and consciousness. And then this needs to be built within a dialogical approach, as well as with care and compassion. I'll ask my colleague, Dr. Eugenia Rodriguez, to share her experience in applying this model in Brazil earlier on in her career. Eugenia, please go ahead.
Thank you, Meleck. Thank you, colleagues, for this invitation. It's a pleasure to be here to share this experience. And so I have the privilege in the beginning of my career as a public health professional to know the Paulo Freire theory, Paulo Freire praxis, and then during all my career in public health, I could apply this approach. And I bring here an example that it was in the late 90s. Meleck, please, the next slide. Yes, I'm just briefly would like to comment on this picture. I took this picture a few months ago in São Paulo City. In a street, and so it called my attention, these big posters that was in a building, and so talking about the hope and talking about the love. Love is an act of courage. And so it's great to see this in the middle of São Paulo. It's a big city where we have a lot of challenges as usually in big cities. And so Paulo Freire was there. Paulo Freire lived in São Paulo for many years. And so it's a kind of a way to make this idea to be present and to show the people that his idea is there. Okay, Meleck, the next one, please. Okay, and so talking about my experience, and so I will talk about the Bank Control in Ribeirão Preto, the municipality of the state of São Paulo in Brazil. It's a municipality around 7,100 inhabitants at that time. And so we have the type 1 dengue fever at that time, and I was responsible for control of the mosquito Aedes aegypti. And what we work, it was to go to the community and through a dialogue to to define priorities in a constant dialogue, analysis, and reflection, and consultation with the local resident population through this Paulo Freire guidance. And with the local population, even we involve a lot of our employees. We have 100 of employees at that time working with dengue, and we try to find the solution with them. And myself, as I came from an academy, I wasn't aware about all this detail, that the reality that I could learn with the population, I could learn with my colleagues, my co-workers. And jointly, we propose solutions for residential and commercial areas. All the literature at that time talk about the dengue as a problem, that the mosquito breeding sites was near the residential areas. And we developed a work with them that we could map also the commercial areas, as, for instance, flower shops, tire shops, and buildings, constructions, and try to find a solution for this place. And this came from this dialogue with the population, with the employees. And that was a very important experience, that each resident became a protagonist in the search for alternatives and solutions for this control. And this was a constant dialogue with the public health authorities, and as well the authorities that are responsible for all the city, or the people that are responsible for water, for the trying to make the city a better place, a place that they could have the waste, the responsibility for the waste. And we involve also the media. We work very close to the media as well. And after a few years of work, we could observe changing behaviors of the residential population and these commercial owners of this place. And that's a way to control the potential breeding sites from mosquito. And as a result, we see that Ribeirão Preto was able to maintain a lower number of cases in comparison with São Paulo state, where the city is located. Meleck, please, the next one. What the next slide shows is a comparison with Ribeirão Preto and São Paulo, that we have a low number of cases in Ribeirão Preto city, and we have in all the states around a big number of cases. And so this, it shows as a result that we could control these breeding sites, and we could involve the population, could continue this process for many years. We could keep the number of dengues low in the city, and we change the kind of a reality. That's my contribution, and so I'm open for some questions later on. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Eugenia. Sorry about the problem with the slides. I'll try again. Thanks. This is the diagram Eugenia is talking about, the figures. Eugenia, can speak to them briefly?
Yes, in the gray we see São Paulo state, and in the dark we see Ribeirão Preto. Just make a comparison through the 6 years that we developed this work. You could keep the numbers lower, and in comparison to the state that we have a huge number. That's what I would like to show. And I have the reference about this experience. It's published in the Cadernos de Saúde Pública, and so you can see the reference and you can go know better what I'm talking, more details about what I'm talking today. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Eugenia, for sharing your experience of how you applied Paulo Freire's model. So let's come towards the closing. How can we apply this praxis to the road safety planning in Africa? These are the data, or the results of the number of road traffic deaths per 100,000 population 2021, based on the global status report that was released in December. As you can see, the African region has the highest number, about 19, the rate, and the world is at about 15. And the next highest is East Mediterranean, and then we have Southeast Asia. But let's focus on the African region. You can look at the larger global figure. that is the continent. But we are aware that Africa is a diverse continent with many countries. There are similarities and also the common differences, similarities and differences. So we cannot treat it as a homogeneous region, but rather heterogeneous. And so I'd like us to spend the next couple of minutes, about 6 or so, to do some reflection. And I'd like you to, wherever you are, to think about what's the reality about road safety in your country, or take it further, in your city or in your province or a district, whichever unit you want to choose, or you want to focus on a particular highway. Take a few minutes and think about the figures, the number of people are killed. Think about the solutions that are being offered. Think about the people who are involved in offering this solution. Reflect deeply. Take some notes. If you want to talk to yourself a little bit, reflect deeply on that situation. What's the problem? What do you think is the underlying issue? So I'll give you a couple of minutes to just think about it. The second question, I'd like you vision, what will you like to see as the ideal? What's your dream about road safety in your country, in your city, along a highway? What do you want to see? So continue to think about how the situation is. Forget about these figures I'm presenting here. Look for your own data, look for your own figures, your own reality. And, don't get upset at all if, it's, you are not satisfied with them. If the figures cause, make you to be upset, don't get angry at it, but just look at the brutal figures, brutal reality, with a view to understanding it, and then vision where you want this to go. So I'd like you to think of what that situation is and what the ideal. What's your vision? What do you want as an individual, also as an institution, for road safety in your country or in your city? What issue are you working on? What solution are you working on? What is the government doing? How well is it doing it? What are the NGOs doing? How well are they doing it? What is the private sector doing? How well are they doing it? And let's take it further. If you are to undertake a solution, what will that be? How will you work it with the various stakeholders? How will you entrench? How will you utilize the approach that Eugenia has talked about, so that this is not a solution by one person or one institution, but is shared, is a collective solution where you come to it through a consultative, meaningful dialogue. And as Eugenia pointed out, you are able to mobilize, so many stakeholders until they see themselves as part of that solution. She said, actually, every resident became a protagonist, meaning part of the solution. Think through, how will you do it? How will you mobilize this? I would really have liked us to, spend almost 10 minutes and even more visioning and going through this, releasing the potential, our critical potential that we have. But I know time will not allow. So I like us to come back to the reality where we are and really conclude that Paulo Freire's Praxis offers a viable framework that combines theory, reflection, and action. And as I pointed out, it can be applied to many realities. And road safety is one of them. And then my question is, and I like part of continuing with the reflection, what are you going to do about road safety in your country, in your city, drawing on Paulo Freire's approach or another approach that you have? So we shall stop there. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Melecky. Yeah, so now we have time to ask questions and also to share our reflections as he has asked. And to do that, you can just type your name in the chat box. I'll call on you to take the floor to ask your questions or your reflection. So the time is now. Just put your name in the chat box. I'll call on you to ask whatever question or comment or reflection you have on the topic. All right, Alexei, please take the floor.
Yeah. I have a question to Eugenia. I would like to hear a couple of practical examples. What exactly were you doing? I mean, what exactly was the measures you were introducing? Because I'm a little bit outside that, infectious diseases. I don't really know how people work, but can you just illustrate?
Okay, I think one of the illustration is about the flower shops that I mentioned. And so we saw that it's a big problem, that it's a breeding sites for mosquito. And then we work with these people and try with them, with the commercial owners, with the employees of this place, to introduce practice and to discuss with them details about the reproductions of the Aedes aegypti and to show them how important it is not to keep water in these small plates, and so to try to find this reality, and so to involve everybody and to show them how to keep this place clean, and also to put some, I don't know, this product to kill the larvae, and so to make them understand how important it is just not to say do this and do that, and so to show all this cycle of the mosquito that they could understand, they could adapt this inside. And the other way it's to discuss to cover this place, and so as much as possible not to put this in open areas, and so the same as the tires, and so the important to put all this in closed areas, and tires was a big challenge, and so how to find solution to have a destiny for tires and to not throw this in any place. And the other experience is to come together, all the urban sectors responsible for the waste as well, and trying to find with them, with public authorities, not only the health authorities, a solution for the waste, for improve the collection of the recycled materials or the plastic, everybody could think together. And we have the support of the media. We have a lot of insertion on the local medias to pass this message. And even nowadays, 30 years after, we have still have this partner with the media, with all the people in the city. The problem is bigger than that at that time, but we still have this partnership as a result of this. In the airport, if you arrive in the city, you have the message, everybody, you show messages about the dengue. It's a way that all the community was aware about this. A little bit to share in this few minutes. Hope I clarified.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, good. So Joseph from Tanzania, and then Lee Randall, you have a reflection. You can do that after Joseph.
Yeah, my name is Joseph from Tanzania. I just wanted to share our experience in Tanzania. Yeah, the situation is bad in Africa. In Tanzania, I'm the chairman of Tanzania Roads Association. In terms of road safety, we are providing capacity building. We have trained a number of road safety auditors. We have also provided recommendations on the review of the design manual to include road safety issues, particularly on urban areas. But the problem in Africa and in Tanzania as well is that the political will from the government to reduce road safety situation is a problem. We have done our part. We have trained road safety auditors. We have provided recommendations to improve the design manual for the roads, but it is taking time. So that is the challenge. Yeah, but in terms of NGOs, private sector, we are doing our part. Thank you.
All right, good.
Yes,
yes,
I'll come in to reflect on, thanks a lot, Joseph from Tanzania. So if we would adopt Paulo Freire's approach, he will encourage you to reflect on what you are calling the political will as a community, practitioners, decision makers, scholars, NGOs in Tanzania, and then figure out how you can change it rather than staying there and expecting that it will change by itself. So if you'd adopt this approach, you can go a step further, organize a reflection, an analysis, exactly what's the issue with the political will. What is it that political will is not doing? And how can you change that structure as road safety community in Tanzania? Thank you.
All right, good. Lee, over to you.
Thanks very much, Enoch, and thank you, Meleki.
Thank you very much.
Sorry. That was really great. And I just want to mention, I'm an occupational therapist by background. I've worked with many, many crash survivors in my 35-year career. And in 1990, I happened to be in the USA doing my master's degree, and my dissertation was called Empowering the Powerless, Occupational Therapy in Apartheid South Africa. And it was really a reflective dissertation centered on Paulo Freire's pedagogy, looking at what I called the sort of magic ingredient. How can a rehab practitioner help to change the circumstances or help a client who's very embedded in their reality to see a different way, to conscientize themselves and to have a vision of a different set of circumstances. And I'm amazed that now I've been in road safety for about 10 years, and I've never thought of applying Paulo Freire to the work that we're doing. But I'm working with a community representative, a community leader from an informal settlement along what has always been a highway. And because an informal settlement has grown up alongside it, there are huge new road safety risks. And I heard him speaking. He's an influencer. He presents on radio. And he presented the 6 safe places where pedestrians can cross the road. And he rattled them off in a very rote way. And then when he and I were driving along that highway, it was very, very apparent none of those 6 safe places exist. So he's putting out theory which doesn't match the reality. And I think through using Praxis as a framework, both he and I can start reflecting and thinking differently about the strategy, especially for school children's road safety in that very, very underserved, deprived, and highly dangerous area. So thank you very much. It's been incredibly useful just thinking, looking at the steps again, and realizing where I have not been applying them myself and where they can be applied so powerfully in a community setting. So thank you very much.
Great point. All right, Dauda Bar from Zambia, you want to ask a question?
Hello, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, first of all, I must apologize for that poor background because I am not at my comfortable zone. I have a mission that I'm running at the bank, but better still, I thought it important to join the session because I don't want to miss it, looking at how important it is. So I'm Dauda Ba. I'm the founder of Safe Life Gambia. Safe Life Gambia is an organization that stands to help Gambia government and other relevant authorities' effort to reduce the disturbing road traffic crashes in the Gambia. We are doing this in various aspects. We have a school folder project, or in other name. School or en route school safety, where we do go to schools, teach students how to protect themselves to and from school. We also organize community outreach programs, where we meet parents in the community and then have a forum with them, because we believe road safety starts at home. Every parent have a right, or every parent have a duty, to give at least a basic, knowledge or tips to their children. So we are at the media. Sometimes we are invited on TV, at the radio, newspapers, and so on. We are also trying to lobby that political will. Recently, I was at the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure of the Gambia, where a presentation with the authorities, and then we discussed some possible proposals to work together to promote road safety in the Gambia. And then in September 2023, I was invited by the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, where I had a meeting with him, and then we discussed about this road safety. So I told him that his government should put this agenda on the table, because looking at the Gambia road safety crisis in the Gambia is not only a genuine concern, but it is escalating to an alarming point where everyone should take an action. Not a day go by, every day in the Gambia we register road traffic crashes, in the country, especially at the new road that they are building right now, because the Gambia is hosting the Organization of Islamic Cooperation Summit or conference later this year. So part of the benefits is to build or construct a standard road, and then this road is almost at its 75% of completion. But then it has claimed so many lives, and then it has been a big concern for people of the Gambia. So it is very important for me to attend this webinar, and then from here I will be asking like how I could work with this initiative for this webinar, to promote road safety in the Gambia. Thank you very much.
Oh, great. Thank you. Philbert. Robert, you are muted.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Something that I want to share based on our presentations. When I try to look in Africa, particularly in terms of the culture, maybe myself, I think that safety is more of the culture. If you have the society which tend to pay attention on the issue of safety and everything, most of the intervention can be successful because you have in Africa, you might find that you have a lot of intervention in place, but people, they don't use those interventions. So what you can comment about it? For example, like you have motorcyclists, then you have the helmets. You might find that some of their passenger or clients on the motorcyclist, they don't prefer to use the helmets, even though there's an intervention in place. It's the same as the zebra. You may put the zebra on the road, but people, they don't use. So how can you bring the society together and try to work together to see that road safety is important? Then actually by doing so, we can bring down the burden of the road traffic injury. What's your comments about it?
No, thanks a lot. It's so good that we have Eugenia, we have Lee, who have worked on how to bring the community together. There are many ways of mobilizing the community. One of the approaches, I think you need to reach them. I mean, look at Paulo Freire. He really would just go and work with what he calls peasants and converse with them, dialogue with them, initiate that what is important, you need to have respect for them. You need to treat them as equal partners and allow for their views to come through. So it's not you who is bringing them together, but it's really enabling and, as Leah said, empower, the word which some people don't like and are right, facilitate the community to engage in a reflection. So what you are talking about, you are saying road safety is a culture issue. My question to you is, how much have you reflected on that? How much have you analyzed why motorcyclists are not using a helmet? And what solution can you offer? So what you are giving is what Paulo Freire will say, an external view. But if you go deeper, you will come across some reasons which look obvious, just as Eugenia is saying, as a medical officer, she had all this knowledge from the university, but when she reached the community, she understood much better on how to approach it. So Philbert, I really encourage you to employ a critical consciousness approach, and I'll really suggest you connect with Eugenia and Lee on how you can work with them and go on to mobilize the community. There are many methods. You can also reach to me by email and I can share more on this.
All right, thank you. I'm looking at our time. We have 5 minutes to go. I will take Manuel, and then we come back to Melecky for his final comments, and then over to Alexei to wrap up for us. Manuel.
Hi, everyone. I'm Manuel from Ghana. And Professor, we met yesterday. Nice meeting you here once again. So I think the principles we've learned today are quite interesting. And as people in academia, we sometimes apply these principles in our research work, especially with how we get to the field to understand what people's perceptions are about certain events. And I think most often that is lost on us when we enter into the industry. So we end up not applying the principles of understanding what people want or how they perceive certain things, and then applying that in our policy formulation. So I think it's quite interesting this came up. And it serves as a reminder for us to, as much as possible, go to the grassroots and try to understand how people perceive certain incidences. I'm with the National Road Safety Authority, and on a couple of occasions, I've engaged drivers who don't put on their seatbelts, and I asked them, why don't you put on the seatbelt? And they talk about the comfort of it. Some also talk about the disadvantage of you being stuck in the case of an accident. And based on their responses, I tell them, see, yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's for your safety. Will you choose your safety? Will you choose your comfort over your life? And I mean, even if you get stuck in the case of an accident, imagine being thrown out of the car, you know? So understanding what they think and how they perceive certain things should also inform how we educate people based on road safety. And if it comes to comfort, if I was an engineer, I'm pretty sure I would have been looking out for ways by which we could make the seatbelts more comfortable for drivers. But I'm not an engineer, so I can't really do that. But I believe this seminar it's been a good one. It's taking us, or let me say, it's taking me back to the basics of research, engaging the community at the grassroots level, and then using that based on what they propose to be solutions, based on that with my knowledge, and then propose better solutions for better policy formulation. So thank you very much for this.
I believe it's my turn.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like we lost Enoch. So yes, I will take over then. Yes, Meleki, if you have some concluding remarks before we close this webinar.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity we've had. I'll really encourage us to explore how we can use this approach involving reflection and action, which means we are combining the knowledge with action. It's a good way of applying the theory. And it's not really for you or for me to define the problem, but it's defined collectively. And then the solution is pursued. So as researchers, we need to move from there where we feel, we need to tell people what they need to do. We need to be humble enough to recognize the knowledge, the experience they have, and we can together define what the problem is and deliver that solution. Thanks a lot, and I look forward to another occasion with you, and we can complete that visioning if we have another session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Meleki. It was really very interesting, and I also enjoyed a lot the discussion we had after that. So a lesson probably for us as organizers would be to actually reserve more time for this type of discussion, because that's how the ideas are coming forward. So once again, thank you very much for being with us today. As I wrote in the chat, there would be a recording available, so just visit AfroSAFE Academy webpage. By tomorrow, it will be uploaded there. And I will encourage you also to register for our upcoming webinar with Gitam Tiwari. She is a professor in traffic safety in New Delhi in India, and she's a very well-known, very strong profile within traffic safety community, and particularly with her background coming from middle-income countries. So she really can provide very useful insights on how situations, problems, and solutions are different if you are not from a rich country, but a country which is troubled with many other issues, not only traffic safety, but you have to fix water, and you have to fix education, and you have to fix medicine, and all that together, how to find enough attention and resources to solving traffic safety. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you for being with us, and I hope to see you in March again. Bye.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye.